let's get down to business. This young lady, she hails from Sacramento, California. She's been with us last year. She's done such a phenomenal job. She's a community leader. She takes care of father-in-law. She's on the board of the community up there. She, man, her accolades go so far. Let me just say, and I'm gonna just talk from my heart. I love this woman. She's amazing. I go to Sacramento. We're not on the same organization, but man, it doesn't matter. She has a heart of gold. Won't help anybody's organization. Her husband is a dear friend. I gosh, I just get a little choked up right now. I don't know why today, but today is emotional for me. But I just want to say, Miss Keri Roeder, thank you for who you are. Thank you being a leader who you have been to so many people by blessed people on this call, blessed people around the Sacramento area and around the globe, because you're just an astonishing woman. And I know I get energized when I get around you. So without further ado, everybody, can we say thank you to Miss Keri Roeder, and let's give a warm welcome to Miss Keri Roeder, Regional Vice President Platinum out of Sacramento / the hills of Sacramento, California. Let's give her some love, y'all.
It's the sweetest introduction I think I've ever had. That was so wonderful. Like you got me emotional. um, so yeah, like you, I totally lost my train of thought from that introduction. I want to tell all of you that are new, welcome and congratulations for being here. And you may not realize the man who just gave us information and the value in which he is. And so if you're new, I want you to talk to the person who sponsored you and ask them to give you more details about Mr. Al Thomas, because for those of us who have been around for a while, Mr. Al Thomas has absolutely changed our lives in more ways than could be described in the 20 minutes that I have with you. And for those of you who have heard me talk in these mornings, what is Mr. Thomas to us? He's a tool, right? We use him as a tool. We take advantage of him. We don't take him for granted. We take advantage of him because of his decades of success, not just in ACN, but in network marketing. He's documented for his success, and he is proven to help us, those of us who are willing to follow the directions and do the work, succeed. So I appreciate you inviting me back on this call. It's always such an honor, Mr. Thomas. I love being a part of your group. I love being a part of your life. I love that I get to glean on your wisdom and share in your love and your humor and all of that. So thank you very, very much. So happy New Year, everybody. I am really jazzed to be on this call. Exciting times. I had a lot of thoughts and some stories that I want to share with you. But I was thinking the other day about how, January 1st is somehow some magical date, right? That something changes. Is it really though? Right? Yes, it's a new year and all that, and we set out our goals. And at the same time, it's every day is a blessing. Every day is a new opportunity to have a new start in what it is you're doing. So what I want to share with you today is I'm going to tell you some stories, and it's a recent part of my journey in building ACN. And as I share with you these stories, I will also give you my golden nuggets along the way, my little leadership, golden nuggets along the way. So ACN is a business of duplication. Yes? Right? I can see many of you on the camera. Thank you, by the way. It makes me feel like I'm not talking to myself. But ACN is a business of duplication, and the speed of the team is determined by the speed of the leader, okay? And how do we define leader? Everybody defines leader a little bit differently, but here's what I want to encourage you. You are a leader, whether today's your first day or you've been in it, for the whole 31 years that ACN's been around, you're a leader, regardless of your pin, whatever, your pin doesn't matter, you guys. The title of so if the speed of the team is determined by the speed of the leader, I want you to ask yourself, what are you doing to lead your team? How fast or how slow are you? And if you're good with where you are, great. Keep moving at that pace. If you're unsatisfied where you are, then maybe consider moving at a little more picked up. I get it. We're all doing this part time around our businesses, our careers, our families, all that. That is the design of ACN. Okay. Plenty of us have success doing it part time. It's a matter of, are we being efficient? Are we doing it at a pace that's going to be profitable? And are we being efficient? Are we being duplicatable in our efficiency? Okay. Now, if you are not where, sorry, I'm in my car again, Mr. Thomas, because I'm leaving my networking thing, and I turn my heat heater on, and I'm hot. Top is up tonight, though, folks. It's raining here in California. Anyway, today. Anyway, so here's where I wanted to talk about today. If your business is not where it is that you want to be, then go back to what we call phase one. So for those of you who are new, you're in phase one. Okay, you're literally recruiting every single person you know. Recruiting is a compliment. How many of you would agree? My beautiful kiddo, when she was playing volleyball in high school, if if a college had recruited her to play volleyball for that college, that would have been a compliment. How many of you agree with that? Compliment, right? Yeah. If somebody who plays baseball, right, if they're recruited by the San Francisco Giants, is that a compliment, right? Absolutely. So recruiting is a compliment. So if your business is not where you want it to be, and so now I'm kind of talking to the people who've been around for a minute. If your business is not where you want it to be, then go back to phase one. Go back to your recruiting. And when you recruit with the mindset that I'm recruiting you, and that is the highest compliment I can give you. The idea that Mr. Thomas got emotional when he brought me up, that is one of the highest compliments that I mean, literally, I lost my words. I had a whole thing what I was going to say, and then I lost it because of how he made me feel. And when you recruit somebody to let them see ACN and meet Mr. Thomas or whoever you're working with, that's a compliment, and you make them feel good. When you make people feel good, they're going to be interested in what it is that you have. Okay, they may or may not be a yes to ACN. That doesn't matter, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So here are my stories. So it's been the holiday season, and in the month of November, when I had the privilege of being able to be on these calls, we talked about recruiting during the holidays and where we were going to different parties and events and all that good stuff. How were we going to maintain? So for those of you who are on those calls, so here are my stories. So I'm going to give you 5 of the stories of my recent recruits, okay? And I want to talk about the emotional roller coaster, okay? When we talk about recruiting and they give us a response, our guest response is all about their timing. It has nothing to do with us. Our only role is to recruit and create value for ACN. Their answer gets to be their answer. We should not be emotionally involved in their answer. Okay, so here's a story. So I recruited a great woman who has been working at the San Francisco airport in the restaurant industry, and she's been doing it for 20 years, and here's why. Single mom, that's what she had to do. So as we were getting on a plane to go on one of our mini trips, I'm engaging in conversation with her, and I'm asking her, wow, have you worked here, all those questions. She was totally excited, and she offered to give me her number, right? So I was all excited, right? So listen, when I get back from my trip, I'll get a hold of you. This is great. And so I'm on my trip, and I'm visualizing how I get to help this woman, this single mom who's worked in the airport restaurant all of these years, right? Super jazzed and excited. How many of you, by showing hands, because you can see a lot of your faces, how many of you would be excited? Like, cool. Sounds like a really potential good recruit, right? Yeah, absolutely. Well, guess what? Got off from my trip. I've given her a call multiple times. And you know that how kids say the word these days? Oh, they're ghosting me, right? She's ghosting me. So wait a minute, lady. Let me get this straight. I'm on my way to a really fun trip, and I recruit you. You say you're open, you're interested, you're looking, right? And yet you're now not answering my phone call. So let's talk about the emotional roller coaster. How many of you would have gone from, yeah, super cool, I got a cool recruit, to, man, she's ghosting me, this sucks, I can't do ACN, nobody ever wants to do this with me? How many of you would plummet, honestly? Right? Some of you are not willing to raise your hand. That's fine. But that's part of the emotional roller coaster. It doesn't matter to me what her answer is. It matters to me that I keep going. Okay. So now we're on this last little trip. That one was to Vegas. And we're at a bar. Anyway, so we're at a bar and I get to know the bartender and I ask her, how long you been bartending? What are you bartending? Same scenario, single mom, blah, blah, hey, are you open? Here we are living this quality lifestyle in the middle of the week. Are you open? Yes, I am, blah, blah, blah. So we exchanged numbers. She again offers me her number. We exchange numbers. I'm all excited. I follow up with her and I get home and guess what? She agrees to get on a call with me and then now she's ghosting me. So again, this emotional roller coaster, right? Okay, whatever, no big deal. I'm moving forward. I'm moving on. Some will, some won't, some wait. Who cares next? Okay. Now, I have a local woman here that I recruited, and I say to her, hey, let's get together and see the information. She asked, can I bring a friend? I said, yeah, right? So she brings a friend. We do the presentation. It's not for the friend, my friend's friend, but my friend says at the end of the presentation, when her friend says, this is great, but it's not for me, the person I recruited turns to her and goes, cool, will you be my first customer? Bam. Right? Yay. Jacob already separated and got the woman a customer. So now we're going to build on that experience. But again, on this emotional roller coaster, don't let your highs be too high and your lows be too low. Just kind of be even keel along the way, okay? Work at a pace where you are excited all of the time, and when disappointments happen, it's just a part of the journey, okay? Now, another story. We have a new sushi restaurant we go to, right? And so my husband and I are sitting at the little sushi bar thing with the sushi chef we know. And the other sushi chef, John, we've never met before. Somehow, I don't know why. Well, my husband and I, Mr. Thomas, will tell you, we're a lot of fun. So here we are having a grand old time at the sushi bar. And this other sushi chef, John, starts engaging in conversation with us. And I don't know why, probably just me being me, always asking questions. Because remember, we talked about this before, 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? Ask a lot of questions, okay? So get to know people, listen. And so I was probably asking him a lot of questions, and I learned that he has 2 young children, and his wife stays at home. He has a full-time career and then works at the sushi restaurant rolling sushi at night as a second job so that his wife can stay home. So me being me, I start pouring into him all of the accolades that I see value in him doing that. And I won't go through all of them, but basically I just poured into him. I respect that. I think that's amazing. Good for you. I shared stories about how I got to be, room mom and team mom and volunteer every day. And I just really built it up that he's creating a quality of life for his wife and his 2 children. And he was like, wow, this is so cool. Well, at the end of the night, he and I ended up where we're leaving. John and I are now standing face to face. And then I started to tell him about my experience when my husband, Brad, was providing for our family. This is 2010 when I saw ACN. My husband was providing for my family and working 7 days a week. And he was like, wow, that's so great. And I started to cry. And I said, actually, it wasn't so great. So I started to be really honest with him and share with him that as mom, I love and respect that you are providing for our family, but you're missing out on experiences. So through this conversation, he's telling me, you need to write a book. You need to do all these things. And he's like, what do you do? And I said, oh, actually, I teach people mindset. And he's like, what? And I said, well, let me ask you a question, John. No, I'm sorry. I didn't recruit him that night. So I just kind of talked to him about how I teach people mindset. I teach people to be successful in business, blah, blah, blah. So I waited till the next time we went back to the restaurant. And John approached me. He was like, I can't stop thinking about our conversation. thank you so much, blah, 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 all these things. And I said, John, I can't stop thinking about our conversation. I said, it's heavy on my heart. And I got teary eyed again. I said, it's heavy on my heart. Again, I respect that you were working a full-time job and a part-time job to provide for your family, but it's heavy on my heart. And I want to know this. Are you open to taking a look at what I do? If you like it, great. If not, no worries. But what if I could help you replace at least your sushi restaurant income and you could have more choices to be with your family? And he got super excited. So short version is, he was super, super excited. So again, raise the hands. How many of you will be all jazzed out of your mind, right? I got one. Okay, cool. So then we met and we shared with them ACN. And guess what? It's not for him. How many of you would emotionally plummet? Right? Again, roller coaster. Don't plummet. Just ride it. Okay? Just ride the emotional roller coaster. That's fine. Guess what? I'm not his wife. I'm not his children. I'm not his family. So I don't have to watch that suffering. I did my job. I offered an opportunity to get him out of those circumstances. And guess what? Every time we go to that sushi restaurant now, and I told him when he said it wasn't for him, absolutely. Still love you. We can still be friends. I will still pour into you. I will still give you everything I would give him and the way of mindset that I would give him if he were a part of my ACN team, because someday he may decide, now the timing is right for me. Now I want to do this. And guess what? Here's where I am. Here's where I am in life. When you give away, when you give of yourself, it comes back to you. Maybe not directly, most of the time indirectly. So even if John, sushi rolling John, because of meeting me and me pouring into him everything I'm learned and I'm learning from people like Mr. Thomas in the way of mindset, and I just pour into him and something different in his life changes where he and his family have more quality time together, then yay, I did my job. I did my job. And God will provide. God will reward me for giving myself away to other people. Now, my last story. When I started ACN 13 and a half years ago, I called everybody I knew. Everybody I knew. Okay, I didn't do the whole prejudging thing. I called everybody I knew. And I called a buddy of mine from high school. Now, I give you a little hint about me in high school. Yeah. So I was the third born, and I was my dad's payback child. So there you have it. Good decisions I made in high school. Okay. So my high school friends know me. That's fun. Keri, we'll call it. So I called everybody I know. I called a buddy of mine named Chris. He lives in Arizona. Chris in high school played baseball and football. Sophomore year, he was moved up to varsity and started. Chris's family owned a restaurant that he worked at. Chris had a junior had a girlfriend who loosened him up a little bit, so he started, not just going to the parties but drinking with us. So Chris and I from high school, and I know it's two older brothers that are twins, right? So small community family friends. Okay. So Chris knows me from high school. The last time I saw Chris was at a reunion. That was like 13 years ago. And the last thing we remember, last time I was with him, we were at the bar having shots of tequila. Okay, that's the last thing Chris remembers of me. Okay, so just being real here. So when I called Chris 13 years ago to share ACN, he was high on the horse. He was had all the money he needed. He was living the lifestyle. He was providing for his family, more than six figures, like amazing, right? So over the years, obviously, we keep in touch, and I see his brothers all the time because they still live in my community. Well, I was trying to reach out to Chris for a different conversation. And short version is, I ran into his brother at a restaurant, and I said, dude, your brother's freaking ignoring me. I need to get a hold of him. I have some information for him. I have to get a hold of him. And he goes, well, hold on. So he sent a picture, blah, blah. Next thing you know, I'm in this restaurant. My buddy Chris called. And I was like, hey, Chris, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I know you're super successful, accredited investor, I'm telling him the story. And he goes, Care. He goes, we haven't talked in a while. I said, no, honey, what's going on? And he said, I've lost it all. I've lost everything. And he shared with me the story about how his business partner screwed him, and he literally lost everything. And now he is fighting to survive. And I literally, like, my mouth is on the floor because here is a man who sophomore year got moved up to varsity, started, ended up playing all 4 years at University of Arizona. Okay, went on both uh, football and baseball. Went on to be one of the most successful friends I've ever had, but yet circumstances not in his own control, he lost everything. So I shifted gears and I said, Chris, honey, you know I do ACN. He said, yep. And I said, I'm coming up on 14 years. I said, I didn't call you for this reason, but now I'm going to ask you, are you now open to taking another look at it? Because here's what I know. I can help you get back to where you were. And I started pouring into him the belief that I have, that I can help my friend that's in a really bad way get out of the circumstances he is currently in, where he's fighting to survive, and get him back to where he once was. I share this story with you because if your business is not where you want it to be, go back to phase one, go back to your entire list. Chris has motivated me to get back a hold of everybody I know because I'm coming up on 14 years and I had no idea that Chris was in the financial situation he was in, because why would I think so? He's one of the most successful friends I have. Yet now is the right time. I put him in front of a senior vice president yesterday. Today we're going to, at 1 o'clock, we're going to get him started. I told him I'd fly to Arizona to help him, and I will. So to summarize my today's story is this. If your business is not where you want it to be, recruit. Recruiting is a compliment. Recruiting says, I see value. Don't be a part of the emotional roller coaster. When they say yes, get excited. When they say no, cool, whatever. That's not on you. Their answer has nothing to do with you, has everything to do with the timing in their life. And when they say yes, when you find somebody who's not where you thought they were, that is where you pour into them your belief. And I want you to believe it, that you can help other people, because it's not just you. It's Mr. Thomas. It's the Kings. It's all the other leaders on this call that's going to help you help those people. So I hope that you go out there and you recruit everybody you can in this next week. And next Tuesday, when I'm on this call, that you guys send me little messages about the action you've been able to take. I'll fill you in on my stories on what's going on in my own recruiting and all of that, because you guys, we don't know where people are. I was just in a room, this why every second and fourth Tuesday, I always sit in my car because I leave a networking event. And I told them, listen, people are setting goals. I can help people with their financial goals. So have faith in yourself. Go out and recruit. Don't be on that emotional roller coaster when they tell you no. It has nothing to do with you guys. Nothing to do with you. It is all about them. It is all about their timing. So this will be concluded until next week. Mr. Thomas, I really cannot thank you enough when you invite me to be on these calls. It means the world to me. All I try to do is forward on the wisdom that you have given to me and our team in all of these years. And I love you and respect you. And Roeder says hi always. And I'm going to turn the call back to you, and I appreciate you very, very much.